Hey, welcome everybody. Hello, hello, namaste. Okay, new format today. Um, I want to welcome everybody for being here. Thanks for joining me tonight for Ignite Your Wild. I am reaching out to you guys from Guanacaste, Costa Rica. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Crist here with our brand new idea in the making, a brand new theme for the Jaguar path to explore. And our brand new theme and idea is called Ignite Your Wild. I am absolutely inspired by living here in the jungle in Guanacaste. Nina and I, you may know, my wife Nina and I have been living here for 2 years. We're coming up to 2 years next month, or in a few days, actually. And it has been inspiring. It has been inspiring to exactly that. Leaving the United States and living in, well, we didn't live in a city, but definitely living in a community, society, teaching out of a yoga center. We've come out here shopping in a supermarket, driving on highways, being in traffic lights, being in the civilized world. When we came out here 2 years ago, like we loved coming here for vacations prior to moving permanently. We loved coming for vacation because we had the chance to be on a surfboard and surf and see manta rays, or walk on a beach and see turtles. um, we loved it because we got so excited to hear monkeys and see monkeys in the trees. I have like 100 million photographs from our first vacations alone. I would take pictures. And as we moved here, we slowly, it took a while. And now, 2 years into it, I kind of look back, and we were talking the other day, and we're saying, it's like, we've changed. Something's changed. A lot has changed. And what I feel has changed is that we are, hello, thank you, Switzerland. You're up quite late for Switzerland. Thank you for joining us. Thank you from Costa Rica. And in essence, what I really feel is that the changes we've experienced is that we have become a little more wild. And what does that mean? And notice what that makes you feel for a second. What is he going to say? What does wild mean? Well, I'll tell you, it's wildly hot here. Sunset just happened, and it's probably still 95 degrees here. We can get a door over there. That would be great if you open that main door. Thank you. My son and Nina, my main support, my wings of love, holding me on either side. Thank you, guys. So I'm going to try to say it in one paragraph. Ignite your wild. Living in Costa Rica, I live in the most biodiverse place on the planet. It is the last most diverse place on the planet. Amongst maybe 5, 6, maybe 10 areas as small as Costa Rica. Costa Rica, we call it country. It's an area. It's probably as big as Massachusetts, with 5 million people, population. And perhaps the only country, and I hope there's more, but perhaps the only country that has 25% of the country itself has been named and is protected as national forests, as national parks. No hunting, no fishing, none of the above. Of course, we got to give it to Costa Rica. It's one of the very few countries, if not the only country again, that has no army. We have become more wild. We have become more wild because we really love waking up with the sunshine. I guess we can't help it because when the sun rises, all the monkeys awaken and they get really loud. There's no sleeping through that. The birds, There's tons of different kinds of birds. There is this like symphony orchestra that says, guys, it is a new day. Get up. Let's do this. Let's play. Let's rejoice. Let's go out hunting. Let's go playing. Let's dive. Every now and then some of the birds slam on the windows and through the excitement, and then they flutter the wings, and most of the time they're okay. They fly out. Sometimes there's a little bit of a fight breaking out in the trees with the monkeys. It's like, no, I saw that man go first, but they quickly all relax and eat their mangoes. I've understood that I feel happier than ever in this 2-year anniversary of living here. And I've understood that I feel happier than ever because I live in the wild, because I get to be in the company of monkeys, birds. We go out with our surfboards or with a boat every now and then. We get to see whales, manta rays that are 10 feet long and wide, like bigger than the boat. Dolphins, these dolphins, black dolphins that come down from the depth of the ocean, these like ancient creatures. And whales, you see the mother whale and a calf. And as we were looking at the mother whale and the calf about 50 feet away from us from the boat, the male came up right between us and said, hey guys, I'm here. And when he came up about 10 feet away from our boat all of a sudden from 28 feet became an inch long. We was intimidated by the size of that whale. Was at least 2 or 3 times bigger than our boat. So I'm here, and one of the things that I am noticing, I don't watch the news, but every now and then someone slides something in and says, do you guys know that's happening, or that's happening, or there's a disaster or difficulty or all this that's not news anymore, that's been happening in the last 2 years, and the difficulty. And my heart goes out to every single person that's experienced difficulty personally or loss of family. The essence, though, is like I'm feeling happy, and I realize that that happiness is not coming from other human beings or other human stories. It's coming from other sentient beings. So I've started a project. It's called Ignite Your Wild. And this project, someone was asking me, so what is it all about? And I said, I don't know what it's all about yet. I will see. But I can tell you one thing, that I have been dedicated to the Jaguar path. I have been loyal to the Jaguar spirit. And this last 15 years of teaching and training people into shamanism and to shamanic journeys and power animals. And it dawned on me, and down the river, which is just very down close to our house here, I saw some movement through the jungle and leaves, and I'm like, what is that? Was it a jaguar? Was it a kookaburra? What was it? Was it a wild boar? Was it a jacarillo, an ocelot? Was it a mountain lion? Was it a wolf? Was it a coyote? All these species live here. We hear them at night. We hear the coyotes. Sometimes we hear the growls. We've seen a jaguar. That's one of the most important things that really, we were saying with Nina, we want a sign. Do we bring the Jaguar path here in Costa Rica? And not a day later, this huge jaguar crossed right in front of our car, 15 feet away from us. Have you ever felt the excitement of seeing wildlife? Have you seen like a bear if you live up in the States in the Northeast? Or see a coyote from far away? Have you been in a boat and see a dolphin? Do you feel, and feel free to write it in the comments, do you feel excited when you see wildlife? Or what is it that you feel? What has it been for you? Is it inspiration? Is it this jittery excitement? What is it for you? The essence of what I feel, we all feel, is movement of energy within the body, an opening of all the channels, an igniting of the of oxytocin and sense of affection, of playfulness, an opening of all the meridians in balance of engaging more fully with life, an awakening that happens. And yeah, Bridget, thank you, Bridget, always excited. always excited to see animals. And I know you have your own zoo at home. You used to have goats. Now you have a beautiful, beautiful husky and cats, I think. And you used to have chicken too. All of the animals excite us. And the number one emotion that they convey to us, for all of you, all of those of you, and beautiful, thank you, Rita. Awe and wonder and love. Yes, love. And I feel all those of us who have cats or dogs, when you pet your cat, when you pet your dog, there is an immense, endless, beautiful sensation of affection that fills one's heart, that fills one's body. So I love documentaries. One of the biggest shamans in my books is David Attenborough, who has been knighted. He's called Sir David Attenborough, and he has been suggested for a Nobel Prize. He should absolutely get it. And not only is he a shaman, I feel that he should be called Saint David Attenborough. He is a man that started talking about animals and making documentaries since the 50s. And when I watched them, I watched them since the 70s. I was born in 64. So started watching them was 5 or 6 really early. My sister was 2, 3 years older than me, so she would turn on the TV. When he started those documentaries, Africa was a place very far away. Was a place that was inhabited by millions of bisons, by hundreds of thousands of zebras, by thousands of rhinoceros, tens of thousands of elephants. David Attenborough. Let's all vote him to get the Nobel Prize. Now the planet is about this big. The seas, I have recently found out, were inhabited by over 300 million whales. They were inhabited by over 1 billion dolphins. They're inhabited, I don't know how we're going to count the sardines and the herrings and the smaller fish, the squids. It was a paradise that was packed with life exploding. So the first place I really met the jungle was in the jungles of Peru. Some of you may know my hero's journey into trying to find healing for my cancer, diving deep and finding the Shipibo tribe in the jungles of South Peru, close to the borders of Bolivia. That's partly another story. Big part of the story is not only the medicine for the medicine men and women, not only the medicinal plants that I've learned about through the years of studying with them, but the biggest medicine was the animals. And I'll stay here for a second and say only this. There was one moment I was looking, had this nice hideout and we were looking and waiting for animals to come by. And we've seen a lot of beautiful animals in there, in the wild. But my friend, the shaman there, said, look around you. He said, you'll see that there's 2 types of relationships in this jungle. There's the symbiotic relationships and the parasitic relationships. And I said, so what do you mean? And he said, look at this tree. And he showed me a white tree. And he said, do you see any other trees around it? There's a white tree about 5 inches, 6 inches wide, standing straight up. When we're talking jungle, there's places you cannot simply walk through. Like most of the jungle, you can just not walk through. Things are going to grab you. Things are going to trip. Here, all of a sudden, there's this tree that's 6 inches wide and it has an 8-foot clearing around it. Nothing is growing next to it. It's like, this is my space. It's like, how are you getting this space? He says, this, he said, is the torture tree, the justice tree, the tree of justice. I'm like, what? He says, this tree, watch, come over here. He said, We both walked close to the tree. I kind of leaned in. He pulled me back. He said, "Don't touch it." I'm like, "Why?" He took his machete out and he banged the tree. And within 3 seconds, the whole tree was moving with the red ants, fire ants. A fire ant's sting is about 10 times worse than a wasp sting. If 10 fire ants sting you, you may die. So that was a judgment tree back in the day. If someone was out of order, the council would tie them to the tree, and that would be the punishment. But take that aside. The essence is here that this was a symbiotic relationship. In the symbiotic relationship, the ant helps the tree survive. The ant's feces, which it spreads 8 feet around the tree, is acidic. So any any kind of seed that falls dies automatically and nothing can grow. Further down, we started looking and we found it. We really looking for wildlife, found this hole in the ground, and my guide took out this really nice long stick and started putting it in and doing this, and all of a sudden I saw this little claw come out, this another claw come out, and soon enough, this tarantula bigger than my hand came out, this huge thing, and he was fighting this to push out someone that's trying to come into its cave, into its hole, into its burrow. And he said, these guys over here have a symbiotic relationship with a specific type of frog. I said, frogs are their food. He said, yes, mostly yes. But when the tarantulas lay their eggs, there's a specific kind of frog. And most frogs look to find the eggs of the tarantula to eat them. This frog comes in and lives in a small apartment that is right out the gate of the home. And anyone else coming in, bigger insects that come in to eat the eggs of the tarantula, is dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the frog. So the tarantula does not eat the frog. The frog does not eat the eggs of the tarantula. They have a symbiotic relationship. They have an agreement. You're free of rent. With free rent, you get all your meals paid. Just keep everyone out of here. And when I go out hunting, make sure everyone stays out. Another symbiotic relationship. And then he showed me these vines. There was a big tree, a tree that I want to say was at least 150 feet tall. But the weird thing about this tree is that it had no center. It was almost just like a bark, thick bark, 4 inches, this big circle. And in the center, it was all hollow. We could go in and you could see all the way up to the sky. He said, there used to be a tree here, but this vine surrounded it, choked the life out of it, and took it away. So the examples go on forever. There's symbiotic and parasitic. A lot of the invasive species are parasitic, and the invasive species are the ones that come in and multiply so much that they take over all the space. So looking at all these relationships, I've been looking at animals and noticing how most animals, 99% of the animals, with their, let's call it lifestyle, with whatever they do, they're automatically regenerating life. They're automatically creating symbiotic circumstances around them. They clean things, they move things away, they're part of the recycling business, they're always busy. And also, when you see them, it was like I thought I saw this spider move against the wall this morning, but it was weird. It was almost it was walking backwards, and then I just looked a little closer, and there was ants, and this collective effort of the ants. They had found a dead spider. We have no dead insects because we have our buddies here. The ants come and take everything away and clean out the house constantly. But I noticed the collective effort, and I wanted to put a camera on and say, humans, look, these guys are carrying this huge thing. They're like 10 ants, and they're carrying something that weighs 100 times their weight because they work together collectively. and collectively you can make things happen. So Ignite Your Wild is about us understanding a little bit more about nature, because what has happened is that the only thing that's happened is that from the dark ages on, we got afraid of the wild. There was actually this big fashion that came about from I want to say the Catholic Church or the people in power. It doesn't really matter. They said that humans are the favorite creation of God. And it's not written in the Bible or any other sacred text, but it's almost mentioned and had been mentioned over and over and over again, as if God sent us an email and said, you guys, you're my favorite. And everyone else is beneath you. You can just use them. You can abuse them. You could just like have them for food, put them to work, put them for entertainment, make circuses and have tigers do funny things. There's been a big misunderstanding. And through this big misunderstanding, I'm coming to this. And again, Ignite Your Wild is brand new for me and will be unfolding. If a guard frog, yes, a guard frog. This thing will be unfolding. If you have ideas, the essence is this. I was inspired and ignited to start this project, and this project is about rewilding forests here in Costa Rica, making sure that there's bridges over highways that animals can migrate. And at the same time, it's going to be a series of workshops that will be happening around emotions and animals. Beyond the power animals, we're going to learn about the animals themselves. We're going to be finding documentaries. We're going to be maybe even making documentaries. The whole thing was ignited in me when I saw this documentary recently and I heard about Yellowstone Park. Yellowstone Park, or the wolves of the United States, were almost driven to absolute extinction by the mid to late 30s. The hunt for beavers and for wolves was relentless. We're talking about humans now expanding to the west, to the far west, as an invasive species, as a parasitic being, taking away habitats and taking away the lives of other animals. In 1995, Yellowstone Park was a park that had a few bisons. It had about 30 to 50 bison, and it had several hundred, or maybe it was in the thousands of deer, because there was no predator. The deer were just multiplying. The deer had eaten all the fields. I want to fast forward and say this is where I got my inspiration, and this is where we're all starting together, where I invite you in a conversation with yourself. I invite you in a conversation with ideas of how we can help the animal habitats in Costa Rica and around the world. And I invite you to rewild yourself. So here's what happened in 1995. They brought back 35 wolves and released them in Yellowstone Park. And they were happy. They said, okay, well, we did this great thing. We brought 35 wolves and we're just going to watch them and see, are they going to be able to multiply? Are they going to be able to become 60, 70, 100? Are they going to be able to live with the environment? And then we'll have these guys here too, because it used to be their natural habitat. What happened, what followed in the next decade was unprecedented, unbelievable. The wolves changed everything. Bears came back. More bison came back. Beavers came back. Bees came back. Butterflies came back. Frogs, fish. The water of the waterway, the river, and the banks changed. The valleys changed, because as the top predator, the wolf, entered into Yellowstone Park, it changed the behavior of the deer. The deer were basically invasive, were basically making the life sustainability impossible for all these species, because they would eat the flowers, they would eat the grass, they would eat the aspen, they would eat even all the lower bush and trees. So slowly, it became poverty There's poverty as far as the ability to find food for different species. The wolf came back. Yes, we do. Thank you, Wendy. We do need to learn how to live harmoniously with nature. We can. The wolf came back to Yellowstone Park, and it brought with it, in a decade, as a natural phenomenon, all these other species. It brought with it, again, beavers and butterflies, and the whole environment changed. I'll say this to bring it home, that I work with a lot of people. Many of you know I do shamanic healing energy. I teach, train healers, and I do shamanic healing sessions. And one of the things that I've seen only progressing and becoming more and more is depression, anxiety, stress, all this type of real, and also other diseases, that autoimmune diseases, cancers, things that are related to all this anxiety and stress. And I see it and I know it, that all this anxiety, all this stress is all related to the fact that we are not enough in contact with these animals that bring that excitement, that bring that happiness, that bring that affection, that bring humor, that bring life, balance, that bring in the idea of being in a symbiotic relationship. So I invite you to think tonight, what makes you feel awe and wonder and love, like Rita says. What is the wolf that you can bring back inside of you? How can you rewild yourself? And if you bring back a wolf, how is the whole environment going to change? How is your immune system going to change? How is your humor going to rise? How is your ability to express affection with less inhibition going to rise? How is your ability to wag your tail going to rise? And let other people see, how is your ability of being next to your partner, your even friends, and start purring and say, oh my God, I'm having such a beautiful moment right now. How can you enjoy food in a more mammalian way? We are mammals that forgot we were mammals. We were chased in the dark ages to push away our mammalian nature. And we have the arrogance, the ignorance to say that we are God's favorite creation. So if God comes here now and says, hey, dear favorite creation, because you're my favorite creation, I also gave you this paradise with millions of whales, tens of thousands of millions of billions of dolphins, and birds that sing, and penguins that are funny, and monkeys that do all these things. Because you're my favorite creation, dear human being, I gave you this to feel all that love, the excitement, the affection, the sweetness, the symbiosis. What have you done? What have we done? I always here with humor. I'm always here with love. I believe in acceptance, admiration, and affection as the columns of support in everything that I do. And I believe in humor, in opening the heart, and that allows for people to learn, and not information, but to make consciousness, to expand consciousness. I am sad. I don't want to close your heart by saying it, but what have we done? Don't look up. Should we start looking up and see what's happening? Should we start looking around us and see what is happening? Is it time for you and me, my beloved ones, my beloved Nina, my beloved Jason, my son? Is it time for you and your friends and your parents and anyone that's still here? Is it time for all of us to speak up and say, I will love these amazing toucans. I'm going to love these amazing the turtles. it, we have been made to believe that each one of us can't do anything. So let's take away anxiety and stress and all these diseases that come with it by bringing back to see we were pushed away from nature, and we pushed away nature, and what happened is we pushed ourselves away from our own nature. We are mammals, and heads up, I don't know if we were, but I don't think it's likely we're still the favorite creation. If we have win in something, is the most expansive and the most, what's it called, inhabiting. We're the species that is growing way too fast, and we're sprawling out, and we're an invasive species. If we're anything, we're an invasive species. And we're going to go a little bit more into that. There's politics behind it, there's history behind it, but really what I want to come to, thank you. We do. Thank you, Rita. It's good to see you online again. Thank you. We have different countries from all over the place coming in. Let's bring in the sacredness. Yes. Let's rewild and re-sacred ourselves. Bring back your wolf. Go a little bit more wild. Dance more. Wag your tail more. Purr more. And open the TV. I open the TV because we're trying in all this process to also see, it's like, how are we going to build the next ecological center, and the next center that we're opening for the yogis and the shamans, etc. How are we going to go ecological? I went to Netflix and I pressed in ecological building. Not zero results. I went, well, maybe eco-friendly. Zero results. Ecology. Zero results. Favorite creation of God. Eco means home in Greek. I'm Greek, I know. Eco means home. What are we doing with our home? It just might not be too late. It just might not be too late. The problem we have with the invasive species of some bugs going around and what they call the pandemic is exactly an imbalance that we have created. There is no judgment. There is no one behind it. There's no one in front of it. It's all of us in it. And it's as invasive as we have been. No judgment, my love to everyone, and my condolences to everyone who lost, and my heart to everyone who suffered. May we use this as an alarm to wake up. May we use this as a call, as the last monkey call, as the last wolf howling, wake up. We love you. All animals love us. And we have this fear because we don't know this, and we don't know that the politics of the Middle Ages, I'm not talking about nothing about today, because we're still in the Middle Ages, nothing's happened, different than the Roman Empire, different than the persecution of women, animals, and magic during the Dark Ages. Nothing has changed. It's not the men, it's those in power. And those in power are the ones that are just scared. They're afraid. They're afraid that they will lose their power. They think that the power is something else. The only power is love. The only power is affection. But did we learn something from Christ? Did we learn something from the Buddha? Yes, Eric, thank you. I'm going to bring this up and say we unconsciously, thank you, Eric, we unconsciously limit ourselves all the time according to unchallenged beliefs in most every mundane act of life. Eric, thank you. Unchallenged beliefs. And you know why it worked? Because we're afraid. You know why we're afraid? Because in the food chain, we're very low. We're down like under the 1/4, 1/4 of the series of the food chain. There's things that are bigger than us, faster than us. I mean, we're clawless, wingless, furless. We can't run to save our lives, literally. Yet there's stories upon stories, and there's people today, documentaries upon documentaries, where people meet the wildlife, not with rifles and awful traps, not for their fur or for their tooth tusks, but they meet and they say, hey, hi. Animals, up time upon time, will go beyond the species barrier to express love, curiosity, cuteness, humor. And the only thing we know is when we go to invade their space and we've cornered them, the mother and the cubs, and there's nowhere for them to go. When they attack, it's like, see, they're wild, see, they're dangerous. It's like, see, we're in their home. This planet is not ours. Enough of TVs, of cars, of supermarkets. One of the things that we've learned here, there's like one shelf that has 4 cans of tomato and they spread them out, not 400 different ones and 4,000 in total, and all these foods that are fake, that have conservatives, that have colors, they're all sugar. Like, we have lost our touch with nature. No one has eaten on this planet what we have been eating the last 10 years, 20 years. No one. We don't even know what's going to happen to our cells. We know what's happening to our psychology. We know what's happening to cancers. We know what's happening to mental issues. We know what's happening in a pandemic as a result of all this imbalance. And, I'll keep my humor, and I'll make sure that every Monday here at Ignite Your Wild, I'll bring up some jokes. And I know many of you will be like this because I know I see some of you that are here that have been with me for a while or for many years. And I have always keep it light. So you might be surprised. I'm not keeping it light. I want to keep it real. What's your wild? What is $1 you can donate today to a wildlife cause? Is there a place that you can find online, not Bezos Amazon, but the Amazon jungle, that you can say, oh, I can buy a tree for $3? It's going to be the best $3 you've ever spent in your life. And your karma account is going to go cha-ching, 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 and your environment is going to go, thank you, here's more oxygen. I am here for you. Yes, Wendy, the food markets today are all garbage for the most part. 95% are garbage. Not only are they garbage that we put inside our bodies, processed and reprocessed foods, and God knows what, but also they result in an amazing amount of garbage, of plastic containers that end up in the sea, of different things that just kill other animals. So Ignite Your Wild is about finding what is the most wild essence. Let's begin with that. So as I bring it to a closing for tonight, I invite you to put in some wild music and dance with everyone that's in your space. You guys up for dancing? We got to do it first. Or find what's wild inside you. Do something wild and just realize, let's all realize together, and reach out to me at evolve@jaguarpath.com and say, I have an idea. This is how we could help. We need to rewild the forests. We need to rewild ourselves if we want to live. We need to become a beautiful symbiotic species with the rest of the species and help them live, because there is no life without the other species. It's not only that we took away their environment to grow cows, to have burgers, but now we're taking away their lives and there's no space for them to live. And we're wondering why we have so many cancers, and why we have so much mental health issues, and why we have so much difficulty, and why we have so much suicide, and why we have so much isolation. It's time to act. Let's get wild. Let's get real. I'm open to ideas. I'm open to conversations. I'm open to links that you may have for us to donate money. I'm open for ideas of how we can get groups of people together. We're beginning by finding and buying land and rewilding it out here in the coast and moving down from the west coast of Costa Rica all the way down to the south coast of Costa Rica, and maybe we'll expand into Panama. But we're searching for pieces of land that have been devastated by the stupidity of deforestation in the name of growing cows so we can export meat from Costa Rica to the United States. We owe this land back. We owe these trees. And if any one of you is like me, I have this 19-year-old awesome guy, awesome son. I owe to him. If you have a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 20-year-old, we owe it because we ate the trees. We devastated our planet. Yeah, okay, let's not get bogged down about it, but let's get serious about it. I'm open to ideas. I'm open to conversations. I'm open. Please send questions. Please send. Thank you. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you. I love these series too. I am on fire. I am ignited. And this will unfold wildly. And I know you're coming to Costa Rica, so we're going to show you the new land we bought and the plans that we have. And we're going to be invite anyone that you know. We need the collective. We need to be like the ants. They're smarter than us. They are probably the favorite creation of God. They work together. It's amazing in amazing ways. And Bridget, yes, let's live in the solution instead of the problem. Absolutely. Let's stop being the problem because we are the problem. We are the problem. We're the invasive species. And I know, Bridget, I know how much work you do for the world and for humans and how much you love animals and how many animals you have. So, and I know you're going to be with me in this one all the way. I am super excited. I invite you to ignite your wild. And I look forward to being here every Monday and sharing news. This is going to be another news channel, one that has good news. It's going to be the only one probably because they love having bad news. Bad news sells. Bad news makes people buy more things. I'm not political. I could not care less. Left, right, up and down. It's all fake. It's all this old story. It's like invented by the Romans. It's invented by the Romans. Get people to take different parts and sides, and then they're all always apart, and then we have the power. The names don't matter. They always have the power. The same people. So it is time for the power to go back to the pearls, to the toucans, to the jaguars, to the monkeys, to the ants, to the beetles, the butterflies, the dolphins and the whales, the beautiful eagles, and the not so beautiful vultures. It is time for us to join an effort of actually loving ourselves and loving our planet. I invite you to begin by loving yourself by eating less processed food and less animal. I invite you to know where the animals that you're eating come from. These concentration camps in the middle of the United States are a disgrace to humanity. Tens of millions of cows in a desert where they need to bring trucks of food and trucks of water. There's no water for people in California. They're bringing it in the center of the United States for the cattle. And the cattle have so much waste they're putting out that is creating a hole in the atmosphere. This cattle would not be in the tens and billions in numbers. For what? For 4 men in Texas to buy a yacht and a jet? This is insanity. Let's all look up. Let's look forward. If you haven't seen Don't Look Up yet, the movie, check it out because we're right in it. And we don't even know where to look anymore because there's this other thing in the mix. So let's look forward. Let's look up with positive attention. And thank you. Thank you, Sherry. It's so good to see you. We've traveled to the jungle of Peru together almost a decade ago. From Machu Picchu to the tall mountains of Morai, the sacred valley, right, of the animal sanctuary in Morai. and the wild sanctuary in the jungle of Peru, Monkey Island, etc. Thank you, thank you. Stay tuned. Tell everyone else from that year of the Jaguar path. So every Monday here, I'll close with lots of love, monkey play. I invite us all to work together and to remember who we are. We are mammals. We're sentient beings like the rest, with lots of affection in us, and we can really, really make a difference. I plan to make a difference, and I am wildly excited because the Jaguar path is an endless path that now has opened this whole other understanding of what I am supposed to do next. Open the corridor of the migration of the jaguars so they can move from Mexico all the way down to Argentina. Too many highways, too many things. We have to make sure that that remains open. Open the wild within each and every one of you so we can go back before the dark ages, so we can come into a light age of life, of beautiful future for our planet, for our children, and for all the species, if we want to be a species that's going to be alive here today in the future. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you all for being here. I love you too all. Thank you for all the loves and the thank yous. I know who you guys are, and I love you. And all those of you who I've never seen before, thank you for being here. Evolve at jaguarpath.com. And yes, and thank you, and gratitude to you. I am passionate, I am wild, and I am ready to make a change. We could do this, and we got to do this now. So send out ideas, send out questions, and I will see you guys next week, next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Lots of wildlife and wild love to all of you. Lots of growls. Namaste. Thank you.